Welcome to Bloodbath TV. Today we check out Raid 2. It is one of the most brutal action movies ever made.
Yeah, what he said. This movie's brutal. It takes place right after the first Raid, or Raid Redemption, depending on where you live, which is a fantastic movie, but this movie steps it up a notch. There's blood and gore all over the place, there's unique action sequences, and it's just an all-around wonderful time. And many thanks to Deke, our top donator over on Patreon, for recommending this, who also recommended the first movie, which we loved and we reviewed over on our other channel, Bloodbath and Beyond. Go check it out. And so we were pretty pumped to watch this. It has a lot of returning cast members, including Yahya Ruhian. I'm sure I butcher everybody's names when I talk about this, who played Mad Dog in the first movie. He plays a different character in this. We got Iko Uwais. I really like everybody in this movie. But we're gonna talk minor spoilers. We are gonna highlight some of the major plot points just so we can kind of talk about the movie and explain what we like, what we don't like, but not step through the movie like we do with most of our cheesier reviews.
This one, you know what's coming. It's just a bunch of kick, punches. It's all in the mind.
Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. If you wanna test me, until you find the things I'll teach ya. Sure to beat ya, nevertheless you'll get a lesson from teacher. Now kick.
There is a lot of kicking, there is a lot of punching. Can't disagree with that. So if you haven't seen the first Raid, I guess he's supposed to be a rookie, but he's far exceeds rookie status. He basically is trying to save his brother at the top of this drug tower. He fights his way all the way to the top and kicking the shit out of everybody. And in this one, his brother is murdered by a guy. And now he wants revenge. And he has an opportunity to be an undercover cop to befriend the son of another drug dealer crime lord to figure out who their inside cop guys are. It's a little confusing at times, but essentially he just needs to kill crime bosses undercover.
And imagine you are a cop and a lieutenant comes to you and says, go undercover in jail where cops are most hated. Just hide out here for a month and befriend someone. You know if stuff's going wrong, you could be in there for longer than a month. That's what happens. Literally gets stuck in jail for 2 years, and it's not even the cops that get him out. It ends up being the crime lord's son who he befriended. You got a newborn kid, you got a loving wife at home, your brother just recently died, and now you're stuck in prison for 2 years.
But he makes the best with his time. He does do the deed. He kicks the shit out of literally the whole prison. Little mud wrestling fights here and there. Well, basically saving the son's life, who ends up getting him out of prison, whose name is Uko. And Rama, our main guy, played by Iko Uwais, is now known as Yuta, because that's his undercover name. So we're just gonna refer to him as Yuta, because it's baked into our brains for the last 2.5 hours.
Going to the mud fight scene, one of the first kills we get, it was the side curb stomp.
Yeah, that's when you realize, oh shit, things are popping off. And you see a lot of stuff here. There's some great beatdowns, and it really gets you into the mood. You're like, oh, well, not that mood. Don't be weird. But you're like, oh fuck, there's gonna be some crazy shit in this movie. And this is just the beginning, because later on, we get intense action sequences with a girl with 2 hammers. We got a guy with a baseball bat, reminiscent of Lil Slugger from Paranoia Agent, who just beats the shit out of everybody with a baseball bat.
And baseballs. He was very accurate.
And the Hammer Girl, accurately credited as Hammer Girl, is fantastic. She has a really cool sequence on a train where she just needs to kill one guy, and for some reason he's rolling with 10 guys with knives ready to protect him, and he just looks like a little nerdy programmer or an accountant or something. Well, the rest of the squad heads out of there like it's Train to Busan about to go down. When we talk about brutal things in this movie, Hammer Girl, she's probably the most brutal, because everything she does is just ripping some kind of flesh off, and it's amazing.
As graphic as that is, I think Yuta is way more intense when he comes to snapping people's limbs. Everything you saw, you felt.
And what's great about the cinematography in this movie, they hold the shots so when people are punching and kicking really fast, you actually see how fast all of these people are moving in real time without 10 different cuts.
It's unreal.
But to go back to the story for a minute, so Yuta is in this criminal organization as an undercover cop. The son is trying to betray his dad and overthrow his gang.
Based on guidance from another criminal lord. Basically, you have 3 overlords, then there's like a side gang, which was the goal for this whole time, was like, I guess, to try and get the information from that guy.
He just needs to find out who the other corrupt police are that are working with the crime bosses. But the movie is basically like keeping you on the edge of your seat because you know as an audience that he's undercover. So every decision that he makes, you're like, we don't want Yuta to compromise himself and expose that he's a cop. We also don't want him to screw with his own morals and start killing innocent people or killing people in general if not necessary. He breaks a lot of limbs. He throws a lot of empty water containers to incapacitate people. But he does do his fair share of killing when necessary. But at first, he eases into it, I think.
He's the Paul Walker in The Fast and the Furious. He's undercover and he's trying to get close with Vin Diesel and the family. Speaking of Fast and the Furious, I feel like it's though Ika was auditioning for this film with his driving skills. That was like crazy stunt driving at its best.
And this is one of the aspects that's really cool about the Raid 2 over the Raid. In this one, we go everywhere. Fight sequences inside of cars coupled with like stunt chases and cars flipping over and breaking through buildings and stuff. They really ramped it up and it was awesome. Everything looked great, and again, you get some of that brutality. Everyone's using these little pistols that have extendo mags and they're like fully automatic guns. Like when Buddy just points it at that motorcycle guy and just blasts his face to oblivion, like holy shit. I don't know that this video is going to be monetized on YouTube, but I'm going to show you some of this because it's what's going to sell you on watching this movie. Now, it is a long movie. It's 2.5 hours long, but it didn't feel like it because you're introduced to so many different levels. Like there's a long time where we're not even with our main character. We're with the son of the boss. We're with Uka, and we're trying to figure out what his objectives are and how he's going to screw over these other gangs and stuff. And then in the third act, they introduced the 3 mini bosses, the Hammer Girl, the Little Slugger, and
Velociraptor.
Velociraptor, the guy with the talon knives. And he's like the first person that you see really overthrow our main character. And you get a nice little like showdown in a kitchen/wine cellar.
I don't even like wine, but guess what? You're gonna like it. I need some cheese. Sweet berry wine!
Of all the characters that I really hated, I was most angry with the lieutenant. I felt like Yuta kept getting screwed because as someone who is recently a father, I felt for him. I would be so upset that I couldn't see my newborn child and my wife for 2+ years. And now that I'm out, I still can't even see them. I just gotta like call them on my like burner phone and have a listen.
Well, how do you think Kosa felt? This is the returning Mad Dog guy, Yayan, who's easily one of the best martial artists I've ever seen. He looks like a homeless man, but he's actually a hitman who is a hitman to pay child support and to help his family or his ex-wife and his child that he can't see. He just has this little locket. And he has an amazing, massive fight in like a nightclub, a really weird nightclub that has like the Pussycat Dolls playing over here, 5 guys dancing to him, and then he just like blacks out and then immediately a bunch of people are trying to kill him. And he just kills them all. It's just a really great sequence. We keep talking about all these sequences. What's your favorite single shot in this film?
When Yuta is in the prison bathroom.
Yes.
Like that whole fight scene, the slow motion of the lock breaking and him just getting ready, and you get this awesome, well-shot fight sequence, but then you get those over-the-top shots where he's throwing people over the stall. It's just this group of prisoners just trying to beat the new guy. I thought it was great.
And it's really cool how they can use that such a small space to do so many interesting moves. And speaking of the high shots, one of my favorite shots, it was an over-the-top shot of Yuta just like kicking the shit out of people inside a car. And again, using a tight space that you've never seen like a proper action sequence in. And I think that was just brilliant. The choreography is insane in this movie, and it's worth watching just for each of these sequences alone.
Even how they edit the pacing to the buildup of the fight scenes before the prison fight breaks out. Okay, these guys are gonna go here, they're grabbing this weapon, and it's like a slow motion of him turning the broomstick. It just goes from like super slow to like really fast, and then later on in the porn factory, it happens again when the guy's going to grab the gun. It's super slow, and then it just goes really fast as we get like a Han Solo moment.
There's only one person shooting, so I think we know who shot first there. It was the girl pegging that guy.
Happy International Women's Day.
At the end of the day, there's not much to say that we haven't already said. The action is awesome, the story is great. It's a little bit longer than we're used to watching, but that doesn't take away from the movie. It's super enjoyable, and I would highly recommend it, as well as the first one. Make an entire day of it, because that's how much time it would take. But I gotta give this 4.5 failed escape plans out of 5.
I love this film just as much as I love the first one. If you love martial art movies, if you love graphic, brutal violence, this is definitely for you. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 5 sparring partners out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review, check out the links to the Patreon, also in the description. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything here on Bloodbath TV.